Nice. Check, Dave's done this before.
Nah, not chummy. I'm just imitating, eh?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of This is Africa, the podcast. This week we have a very special guest with us. He is known in Zimbabwe as the College of Knowledge. He's very good at all his birds, his insects, his trees. He's a professional hunter. He's a professional guide. He is a custodian of great wildernesses here in Africa. He is David Langerman. Dave, welcome to the This is Africa podcast.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to be here. We've spoken about this for about a year now, so I'm very chuffed to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is Africa podcast is brought to you by Swift Bullet Company. Bullets without equal. So Dave, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about how you grew up.
So, Shamari, I was born in Kariba, right in the north of the country. Born in 82, born in Kariba General Hospital. Yeah, so wild times. But I was raised in Kariba. I was raised in a place called Sengwa, and then also that's on Lake Kariba, just west of Bumi, and then also in a place called Chirundu in the Zambezi Valley. So I'm a Zambezi Valley boy through and through. Yeah.
Wow. So I didn't realize that. So you're actually born in the valley.
I was born in the valley and spent my formative years there, yeah. And then obviously, went to school in Marandera. I started in Karoi, a little farming school there called Ridings, and then went on to Piras, and then I finished my tertiary education down in South Africa at Rhodes University. But for the most part, yeah, born and bred Zambezi Valley boy.
Well, that makes a lot of sense with all your knowledge that you have. I mean, you've become an examiner for professional hunters and all sorts of things to do with education of hunting and guiding.
Yeah, that's correct. But so I'm involved in the examination process. So not so much the end stages, the proficiency. At the moment, I'm involved in the sort of beginning stages, getting the guys introduced to the whole process of becoming a Zimbabwe professional hunter and guide. As you all know, it's a laborious process. It's in depth. You've got to get committed to it. It's not something that can just happen overnight. So I'm involved in things like invigilating exam papers, marking exam papers, the sort of less glamorous stuff.
Okay.
And then taking guys on courses and things like that. But the actual proficiency exams, the real McCoy, I'm going to leave those up to the more experienced, the real men. Yeah. But maybe one day when I'm big, when I'm grown up.
Maybe you'll examine me one day. That'll be nice. You can give me some favors.
All I can say is good luck to anyone who gets examined by me. But anyway,
no, true story. But I remember going to visit, I think it was one of my older brother's friends in Kariba. And it was incredible. I mean, I think it was my first time to Lake Kariba, where you grew up, and we crossed this water on this tiny little boat because he lived on the other side of a little water thing, I think. But anyway, it was a very vague memory, but I do remember it clearly, that specific crossing, because we had to tap on the side of the boat to let the hippos know that we were coming.
Where was this, in Kariba?
In Kariba.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know who it was. I'm just thinking it might have been you.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, my brother Craig. But my point is, what a wild place to grow up, because there's elephants, lions. Tell us some stories.
Let me tell you, but I was immensely privileged to grow up where I did. Like I said, born in Kariba. So I lived on the heights for a couple of years as a little sprog, as a little kid. And the Kariba Heights in those days had a really bad problem with leopards taking people's dogs and cats. And my dad used to tell me stories of leopards eating things all the time. And he told me the one day they got because he worked for national parks as well. He was on the research side of national parks.
Oh, wow.
He was a marine ecologist. But anyway, he had access to some of the traps and things from parks, so he could make this happen. And we had this one particular leopard causing problems in our neighborhood, and he got a trap from national parks, one of those cage traps, and put it at the bottom of our garden in the heights. And if you know the Kariba Heights, it's bush, chum. There's lions walking through gardens, there's elephants, there's baboons, it was wild. It still is, eh? And my old man tells me the story that my maid at the time, Jennifer, picked me up early one morning. You know, kids get up early in the morning. Mum and dad still sleeping, and maid picks up the lighty. She thought it'd be a good idea to wander down to the cage trap to see what was in the cage trap.
Oh, wow.
And the trap was covered with bushes, and she obviously didn't recognize that the trap had been triggered. And anyway, she's got me babe in arms, walks down to the cage trap, and this leopard just launches itself at her, obviously stuck in the cage, and obviously just starts beating up the cage because it's furious, as it would be. And poor Jennifer, almost dropped me, squealing, running back to the house to go, warn my mum and dad that the leopard was in the trap.
Wow.
But the stories like that were legion in that place. It was pretty wild. My old lady let the dog out the one day, and the leopard was sitting on the roof of the veranda. Obviously knew the plan, and as the dog ran out for a wee in the morning, leopard jumped off, grabbed the dog, and humbered off into the bushes to eat the dog.
Gone,
chum. She gone.
Oh no! What dog was it?
Chum, I was a lighty.
Yeah.
But that's just showing you how wild that place was. You know, it was. No, the Kariba Heights was an incredible place to grow up.
Incredible.
And then from there we went to Sengwa, which is on Lake Kariba. It's just west of Bumi, about 80 kilometers west of Bumi, if you're familiar with that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And then, I grew up with a fishing rod in one hand and, tutu or a pellet gun in one hand, another hand, and just spent my life fishing and hunting.
What were you doing there?
So my family was involved in safaris. We had a hunting area there, and they also had a kapenta fishing and crocodile farming enterprise there. So
wow.
It was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it was lovely, man. And like I said, I used to fish to my heart's content, and that's where I really got into hunting with my old man. My old man was a big proponent of hunting responsibly. Before I could handle a firearm, I had to do a written test. I know he was strict like that, and he said you have to learn your firearm safety, your commandments of firearm handling. And before I could handle a pellet gun or a tutu or a shotgun, whatever, I had to pass that written exam and I had to understand what it was all about. So
Really?
He was strict. And then he was also, he was very strict about you only shoot something if you're going to eat it.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just go out and whack, whatever for no reason. He was very much against that. So he imbued, in fact, a sense of responsibility. When you're hunting, it has to be for a reason and for the right reason. So
For sure.
he was certainly a very big influence in my hunting and guiding career. I mean, he kind of got me on the road to doing this.
Yeah.
And he was a very, very knowledgeable man in his own right as well. Like I said, he worked for national parks. He was a fisheries research officer, so he was an expert on tiger fish and fish generally. But anything that walked or crawled or flew and swam, he was very, very boned up on it. So I got him to thank for getting into this.
So I noticed you talk about him in the past tense. Why?
So my man passed away about 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, how old were you then?
I don't know, 20-something, 26, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, still.
Shit.
Yeah.
Sorry
Happens,
to hear
bud.
that.
No, it happens.
No, for sure. I lost my father when I was 5.
Yeah,
so,
jeepers.
yeah.
My God.
Yeah. I don't know which is worse, to be honest. 5 or 26.
Yeah, jeepers. But it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But very, very. I was very privileged, and obviously very privileged to know him, and very grateful for everything that he did for me, getting me onto this path.
Wow.
And it's certainly to him and a couple other individuals who we'll talk about as well. But he was, primarily the anchor, the huge influence in my life that got me onto this. So
I can only imagine. I had my father for the first 5 years of my life, and that sent me in this direction.
You see now.
So having him for 26, I mean, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it sounds like.
No, well, my
strict
examiner
here.
No, well, you know what, Chum, I love, and also you got to understand, I had a scientific background as well. I went to university at Rhodes University. We did actually study there, contrary to the rumors. I mean, the place
studied the female.
No, and the bottom of a bottle. No, that place had a reputation for people that like to party. But I actually knuckled down and did a bit of work, got a degree in a science degree, BSc. And I think from even before that, but obviously that was solidified with getting a science degree. I was just fascinated with all things outdoor. I I want to know the whys, the hows, the wheres, the why nots, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I enjoy the outdoor world, and I love doing a bit of guiding as well when I can.
Yeah.
It's a nice change of pace, change of direction.
Yes.
And there's a definite skill to being a walking guide in Zimbabwe. I have my utmost respect for our walking guides in this country. They are absolutely top notch. Absolutely top notch, yeah.
For sure. And same can be said for our professional hunters.
Absolutely,
I think.
but
yeah.
Our examining criteria and protocols here are so stringent, and they are tried and tested, and they produce, for the most part, I'd say, for the vast majority of cases, they produce exceptional professionals in our industry. So
yes.
And to be a part of that.
And they take no prisoners, they give no favors.
Let me tell you what, they're strict, eh? I mean, I remember some of my examiners, and they're quite rightly, they were strict and no good. But you have to be, because we're playing a very serious game. We're playing by big boy rules. We're walking up to very dangerous animals, potentially very dangerous animals, and you have to have your wits about you, and you have to be experienced and knowledgeable, and you have to know what to do in those situations. So
for sure.
Rather we maintain those standards through stringent examining and accumulation of experience and knowledge bases and things like that.
So Dave, now you do a lot of your hunting in the Nyasa Reserve up in northern Mozambique and also the southwest of Zimbabwe.
So, but those are the two main areas I'm involved in. I've been hunting in the Nyasa for, this will be my 20th year. So yeah, I mean, you've been up there, you've operated up there before, haven't you?
Yeah, I love the Nyasa.
You actually to the east of me. You were in L8, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in L7. I've been there. This will be my 20th year operating there.
Wow.
So, yeah, very, very privileged to be there.
And just describe the Nyasa for the listeners quick.
But it is vast, it is remote, it is savage, it is wild. It's a humongous wilderness, eh? So the Nyasa Reserve itself is about 42,000 square kilometers. I think that's like 16,000 square miles for the guys in the States. They want to do the conversion. It's enormous. No fences. It's just miles and miles of bloody Africa, as the saying goes. So it's an incredible wilderness.
Yeah.
The hunting there is very good indeed. It's not an easy place to get to, but therein lies the appeal, the allure of going to places like that. It's off the beaten track. Just to give you some sort of size comparisons, it's bigger than Massachusetts, it's bigger than Denmark, it's bigger than Wales. It's an enormous place. Right?
Yeah.
And within that, I have access to 1.6 million acres of hunting. So
yeah,
it's enormous, and the hunting's very good.
Yeah.
The river that runs through the Lugenda River. We've got 170 miles or 275 kilometers of river frontage just in our one hunting area alone. That's the same length, almost the same length as Lake Kariba, just to put some perspective there for our Zim listeners. It's enormous, bud.
Yeah.
It is enormous.
No, it is crazy. I remember, and when I was doing some filming over there, it was very irritating when you hunted with a PH. You wanted to go to the furthest corner because you think that's where the easiest buffaloes are going to be.
Gosh.
You drive for miles on the back.
You can spend some time on the back of those Land Cruisers.
Yeah.
The roads are rough.
Yeah.
It's remote. It's off the beaten track, as the old cliche goes.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's the big draw card for a lot of people. They want to get wild, remote, and that certainly ticks all those boxes for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
The one negative about hunting there is you have to get that charter in, which
but that is a thorn in my side. I cannot tell you how much. Yeah, it is. It's a mission. And up in the north of Mozambique, there aren't many charter companies, so you don't have a very wide choice on who you can choose. Here in Harare, we've got a handful of guys, and you can sort of cherry pick who you want to use. Up there, you've got one charter company.
So the price is the price.
The price is the price. Listen, they're very good. They get you there safely. They're good guys. They're very good to work with. But the price is the price, and it's not easy operating in far-flung, remote locations. And sometimes you just got to appreciate that fact. So they got to make a living as well, and the price is the price, as you say.
One of my favorite things about the Nyasa are those Eiselberg Mountains.
They are fantastic, bud. And those Inselbergs, on top of those Inselbergs, you've got some unbelievable species, speciation.
Start by telling people what an Inselberg is.
So an Inselberg is a German word for basically a mountain, like an island mountain. And what you've got, unlike our copies here in Zim, where you've got a whole bunch of balancing rocks on top of each other, these are like solid granite massives that just sort of jut up from the valley floor.
Giant egg.
Like one giant brick. Granite brick, and it's enormous. But we've got a couple that go up sort of 800-900 meters. The big one in the center of the reserve is Makula, and that's about 1,400 meters. It's just valley floor, just bombed straight up 1,400 meters. And up top there, you've got elephant, you've got herds of buffalo. There's some special new species of lizards and butterflies. And oh no, dude, Mozambique is an undiscovered little gem.
Yeah.
In general.
I heard in some of those icebergs, inside, like at the top, almost like in the crevices and whatever, they have their own sort of environment or
big time. But so I've done so little sort of out of the way, tucked away little ecosystems that people don't really know about.
Yeah.
There's some great, if you look on YouTube, I think there's even one on BBC. I think it's called Sky Islands or Secrets of the, I don't know, I'll have to, get it to you. But there's a guy called Julian Bayliss, Dr. Julian Bayliss, he's a British scientist, and he's led a couple of expeditions to central Mozambique, and they've discovered unbelievable things on top of some of those sort of isolated inselbergs.
Yeah.
Because right at the top, because they're so high, they're almost sort of cloud forests, so they're continually wet, and they are, the reason the research is being done is because they are under threat from basically human encroachment. Guys are getting up there to cut down, to make mashambas, mundas, fields, and they're putting all these animals at risk, these new to science animals at risk. So the guys are in there trying to discover them, trying to get the Mozambique government to afford them some protection.
Okay.
But there's incredible speciation up there, new species of chameleons. 2017, 2019, I did 2 trips up those mountains, up Chiparone, Inago, Ribawe. Those are some of the mountains up there. And, dude, incredible. You go up these mountains and you're with these team of scientists. And I was just the Gumby, carrying bags and, doing the translating and organizing the porters and whatnot.
It's not a Gumby. That's an important job.
Well, compared to what they were doing, not so much. But these unbelievably intelligent people were describing new species of chameleons and frogs and range extensions of certain things. It was fascinating being around these people. You had like 8 or 9 people, and they've all got PhD behind their names.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. You've just got PH before.
Just got PH, and my IQ was about half of what they were rocking.
You're missing the D.
Oh no, but it was incredible being around these very very switched on folk. And they were very willing to impart that knowledge. And I sat there like a sponge, and you just take on this knowledge. And it was any guide hunter who likes the outdoors would have found those trips absolutely fascinating. And we were 3 weeks up these mountains, and we were making little base camps in the middle of the bush. And then at night, guys were going out and just collecting new species and literally things new to science.
Wow!
Like new species of chameleons. I think they've found like 6 new species of chameleons or something radical like that. Unbelievable.
Tell me. Is Inselberg, is it the same as that granite copy that just looks like you can't almost climb it?
That's it, bud. That's it.
But some of them are so big that buffalo can climb upside there.
Well, but some of them are so big, over time they've weathered the little draws, and guys have got up there. This one I'm talking about, Makula, it's 1,400 meters high, but it's about, I'm hazarding a guess here, it's about 10 kilometers long. It's enormous, bud. And there's a whole different ecosystem up there. There's ferns and... It's incredible.
Yeah, I remember once
different climate almost.
We were hunting at Whittle's place there, and he was outside of the park or whatever.
Oh, that was a guy's place by Balama Nungu area.
Yeah, Nungu Masala.
Yeah, Nungu Masala. Yeah, he's got that. He's still got that area.
Yeah, so we landed on top of one with a helicopter.
There you go. See, he's got those Inselbergs there.
It was incredible, but scary. I felt like if you started rolling, I was never going to end.
No, but they're difficult things to climb, and I've always wondered, the rock climbing scene. Would that feature on their radar? Because some of those Inselbergs would be pretty challenging to climb. And,
almost impossible.
Yeah, and some of those, some of those rock climbers, they would find that fascinating. I think.
Yeah.
They can undiscover a little tourism deal there. Eh?
That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's some rock climbers. Anyone who's a rock climber, northern Mozambique is your place.
Yeah.
So Dave, obviously hunting up there and here back in Zim takes up a lot of your time. You spend a lot of your time with your trackers as well. Tell us a bit about your trackers.
But so I've been, as we all are, and I know every professional hunter raves about their trackers, and quite rightly so. And I'm no different. I've got 2 guys here in Zimbabwe who are phenomenal. They're from the Lowveld, from Bulawayo area. One's from Bulawayo, and one's from a place called Makado, and they are exceptional. They've been hunting longer than I have. I was very fortunate to pick them up off a guy who was retiring. One guy's name is Thomas Mutsikira. He's my number 2. And then my number 1 is a guy called Charity Sabanda. And that guy is unbelievable. I've learned in the years that I've been with him, don't question him on certain things. If he's sure about something, trust his instinct.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time he's right. We all make mistakes and whatnot. We have a giggle about it.
Yeah.
But I've really grown to trust him, and he's brilliant. So much so that I've had other professional hunters come to me and say, "Hey, do you mind if I use Charity on this hunt?
Can I
borrow him?" And I'm like, "Hey, make sure you look after him."
Yeah.
So they're great
and return him
big time. So those two gentlemen are absolutely phenomenal at what they do. They are ever willing. They've got a fantastic attitude on the hunt. Happy-go-lucky. Zimbabweans just generally are some of the most magnificent people on the face of this planet, and they embody that particular sentiment. So I'm very, very privileged to be working with them. And then I've got a couple of Mozambican guys. One particular guy who's been hunting with me for going on 20 years now. His name is Bilali Chale.
Bilali, that's a good name.
Bilali Chale, yeah. And then another guy called Bwana. And like I said, Bilali's been with me 20 years, and I've done some pretty radical and outrageous things with him. Also, just an unbelievable bugger. He comes from the Makua tribe, which is way up north around Nampula. That's where the Makua, that's their sort of home base. And then in the Nyasa Reserve, you've got the Makua meeting the Jawa, but he's obviously from the Makua tribe. But he's also very, very good at what he does. He's got an uncanny ability to find. He's not flash, but if you put him on the track, he will find the track. You get some of these trackers who are, they are brilliant one day and then maybe they're not so great the next day. He's just consistently good. And I'll take that, I'll take consistency. In this game, he is consistent, and that's good. Yeah. So he's a good guy.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed hunting with so many different professional hunters throughout the time I've been doing it is the relationship, the way the PH treats his tracker is often will often dictate how well the tracker tracks.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some guys get angry with their trackers often, and I sit on the back with the trackers. I speak their language. I'm very good with the local people.
And you can easily
and I talk to him and I say, "Hey,
what's the story here?
Your boss is cheeky with you, eh?" And he reckons this guy.
Yeah.
If we see tracks, I'm not going to tell him.
Really? Hey?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and sure enough, PH finds there's some tracks, and he's like, PH will say, "Why didn't you see these tracks?" And he'll say, "No, boss, I was looking the other side or whatever." Yeah. But he saw them.
Yeah, but he was just.
And now you start on the tracks. All of a sudden, you've lost the tracks.
Yeah.
And is the tracker going, "Why must I track for you when you're treating me like this?" Yeah. And it's very interesting. I mean, that's an extreme example.
You bring up a very important thing is your working relationship with your guys, and it has to be top notch. You've got to do your best by them because they're going to do their best by you.
Yeah, and without them, you're very stuck.
Let me tell you something. There are unsung heroes in this industry of ours. You consider those guys following a wounded leopard, lion, buffalo, elephant, whatever it is. I mean, all they're armed with is a set of shooting sticks, maybe an axe, and they are relying wholeheartedly on you to pull their arse out the fire. Should the brown and smelly stuff hit the fan.
I know how they feel.
Yeah. So you would on with your camera.
Yeah, but at least I'm not at the front.
No, you're right. But so like I said, those guys are unsung heroes, and you got to look after them and treat them well.
Yeah. African Sporting Creations offers the widest variety of safari leather on the market. They are purposefully built and handcrafted to last a lifetime. Due to the range of products offered, your kit can be customized to your unique requirements. Choose from bullet belts to ammo carriers and everything in between. AfricanSportingCreations.com, folks. Check them out for your safari leather. Back to the podcast. Your guys, do they have any sort of superstitions about?
Yeah. No, we've got some superstitions. So, Charity, my guy down in Makado in the southwest of Zimbabwe, whenever we're following buffalo, when things are getting serious now, he'll pick up a bit of buffalo dung and he'll find the fork of a mapani tree and he'll stash it in there and he'll sort of squash it down into the fork. And then he'll turn around and he'll say to you, "We're going to shoot a buffalo now." And then wow, things are getting serious. Then you better up your game because he's decided that now we're going to kill a buffalo.
That's very cool.
So that's one of his.
What is there?
superstitions.
Is there any like reason behind that?
But I don't know. But I don't question him.
Yeah.
If it makes him, if it gets his mental state of mind
Right.
onto that plane of we're going to succeed,
Yeah,
I'm all for
it's
it.
a good place to be.
Big time,
Yeah.
So you can forgive them or allow them their little foibles and superstitions.
I love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But then it makes the hunt quite to be serious. And
I
these-
make some up sometimes. I'll pick up a
Well-
leaf and give it to the client and be like, "This is a lucky leaf."
But
All
you
sorts
got to
of-
understand that these superstitions, they're important to the guys, and you shouldn't ridicule them either because it's important to them.
Yeah.
And if you were to ridicule them excessively, it's okay to josh with them about certain things in jest, but some of the more serious ones, you don't ridicule them. That's important to them. If you do that, you're going to embarrass them and offend them. So it's good to observe.
You're going to lose track soon if you.
Well, that's the point. You have to respect culture and things like that. And then a guy up in Mozambique, Bilali. Whenever we've shot a buffalo,
What's his surname?
Bilali Chale, Chale, Chale.
Balale Chale.
Balale Chale. But
That sounds like some sort of smoking herb.
well, when he used to smoke all sorts of funny
Maybe
things,
that's why. Because Balale
No,
Chale.
but also when he doesn't smoke or drink now, he kind of gave it up cold turkey about 5-6 years ago. But whenever he was getting tired, he'd say, "Let me have a cigarette, and then I'll see the tracks clearly."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do what you got to do, but just stay on tracks."
yeah.
But one of our traditions that we've got, tradition more than a superstition really, but whenever we've shot a buffalo, one will say to the other, and he might initiate it or I might initiate it, we'll say "Historia de Buffalo," which means the story of the buffalo, and the other person replies "Acabó," it's finished. So the story of the buffalo, it's finished. So that's one of our little,
That's awesome.
one of the little things we've got going with when we shoot a buffalo there. I mean, there are a couple of others. Those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head with these gentlemen. Yeah.
Have you ever had like where witchcraft comes into it a little bit, like where?
But witchcraft is prevalent all over Africa. Hey,
I know, and I love it.
We've had some pretty cool episodes, if you want to call them that, up in the Nyasa. There is a great, just to give you a little sort of background to this, there's a great YouTube video called, gosh, I got to remember it now, but I think it's called Spirit Creatures of the Spirit Realm or something of Nyasa. And I'll give you the...
No, wait.
This one by Keith and Colleen Begg.
Is this the baboon man?
Yes.
Okay, I remember this guy from the Nyasa.
Yes. So in L8 where you were hunting, you were at a place there called Chimambo. That's a sacred site where all those pilgrims flock to every year around about September.
Exactly.
People go there from all over, like Malawi, southern Tanzania, northern Mozambique, parts of Zambia. They go to the sacred site. They walk there. And you go to this pool in this river.
Okay, hold on. Let me just interrupt you. So when I was there, we would see these people coming through the bush. And this, like we said, the Nyasa is very vast.
And it's remote.
And these people are walking in one direction.
For weeks at a time. Yeah.
Dangerous, walking through the bush, camping, sleeping everywhere. Sometimes if you're tracking animals, you have to be careful because there's doo-doos where they've been camping. But anyway, they're on the way to this place.
Yeah, the sacred site called Chimambo. And they'll get to this pool of water. And they've got what we would call a nanga in Zimbabwe. Up there, they're called curanderos. They're like witch doctors or they're medicine people, highly revered people in their societies. And they lead these ceremonies. And basically what they're doing is they're talking to the ancestors and they're asking for help and, good rains, good crops, can we bear children, that sort of stuff. So, and I'm not sure how it came about, but there's this troop of baboons that are central to this whole deal. And they've obviously become very habituated to people. And these folk, they go and they converse with the baboons.
The spiritual leaders. Or
Well, no,
whatever,
just
the
just
Nangas.
people. No, just the people. The Nangas, the Curanderos, they lead the ceremonies. But
they're not friends with the baboons, or are they?
Well, but all these pilgrims can sit and converse with the baboons, and they ask for, can we have better rains? Can we have this? Can we have that? And these baboons are just fossicking all around and roaming all around. They'll sit right here and you give them a little bit of mealie meal or a couple of biscuits and things like that. And these baboons, the yellow baboons, different to, because we get the chakma down here. Up there, it's a yellow baboon, slightly smaller, slightly different color baboon.
Yeah.
But they converse and they talk to these baboons, and it's remarkable. But if you wouldn't believe it unless you saw it. And I urge you to look at this video. It's
It's a
fascinating.
little bit funny, but the baboons don't talk back, obviously.
No, but the baboons are obviously cruising around getting a good meal. But these guys are
Chatting to the baboons.
and all earnestly, they're talking to them earnestly, and can we have this? Can you help me with this? I've got a problem with my crops. We need rain, whatever. And they're talking to these baboons, and the baboons are roaming around, sitting like from closer than me to you, and the guys are talking. And then there's some other fascinating sort of rituals and ceremonies that take place inside this sort of pool of water. And I mean, I don't want to spoil it for the viewers, but watch it.
No.
It's incredible.
No. Let's talk about it.
Oh, but I wouldn't do it justice if I try to describe it. But
well, what I heard when I was asking people about it is one of the main features of the show of the ceremony is the leader man
jumps into the water,
and
then disappears underwater for X amount of time.
He jumps into the water, does this like a swan dive off the top rock or whatever dive he does, and then he goes under the water. And everybody watches.
And he disappears for like 20 minutes.
Or like 2 hours. Or
whatever, yeah.
Like
obviously, there's a pocket of air under the rocks and the rock pools there. And he goes and he lurks there for a little bit, whatever. But
he goes and hangs out for an hour or two.
I mean, the story is incredible. And it's
so funny.
I know, but
just imagine him thinking, or maybe he does just have fish lungs. I mean, has anyone been under there to check?
But I tell you what, I've seen too many things in Africa to sit and ridicule those guys.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
so
for sure. I mean,
it's important to them, so that's important and it should be important to us to respect those guys' cultures. So it adds such an interesting flavor and perspective to our safari, our safari side of things when you've got these guys coming from literally. I mean, these guys are walking for weeks. Can you imagine walking for weeks to go to these sacred sites? And you got to give credit where credit's due. Those guys are tough.
Yeah, I mean, and there must be some sort of realness to it.
But let me tell you, like I said, I will not ridicule these superstitions and beliefs, and respect those cultures. We had an incident. One of the guys I worked for up in the Nias, a guy called Derek Littleton. He's still up there. He's been like 25, 26 years. But he had not really an altercation, but a disagreement with one of the village heads, who was a bit of a dodgy guy. And long story short, because there's like 3 leadership branches in the village. There's traditional, there's elected, and then there's, I think, political. Anyway, he had a bit of an argument or a disagreement between these particular village heads. There might have been witch doctors as well, curanderos, I forget. But I think the one guy kind of said, I'm going to put some juju on you. You're not my friend anymore. And Derek had this elephant try and kill him in a tent the one night. This elephant bull came up to the tent, and Derek could, he could see something was really untoward with this animal, and it bloody attacked the tent, and it put its tusks under his bed. These big East African style, Meru tents. It put his tusks under there, and flipped him and his girlfriend out of the bed, and everything went flying, and this elephant just started beating the crap out of this tent. The bathroom was made out of brick and stone and whatnot, just beating the crap out of it, tearing the tent. Derek was feeling for his rifle, trying to put it around in there to shoot the thing. He could only find one bullet because he had fallen in the river that day, and he was drying his ammo, and it was outside of the magazine. Anyway, this elephant, beat the living hell out of this tent, and they were kind of hunkered down, waiting for this thing to end. Eventually, this elephant got tired, looked around. It was in the moonlight, and off it went. Next day, he followed it. No injuries on it, nothing wrong with it. It wasn't snared or injured or had like an injury, nothing like that. Anyway, he just put it down to a bad experience. And then a month later, he recognized that elephant. He was sleeping. He had this big tree house in this jackalberry, this Diospirus, and he was kipping in there again in the full moon. And the same
tree house in the camp.
In the camp, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Ah.
And the same elephant rocked up and found him in the treehouse, and then started pushing this jackalberry over, and it was an enormous jackalberry, and he didn't quite succeed, but he really made a good effort at trying to dislodge Derek out of this tree, and it almost like it had a personal vendetta against this guy. And anyway, we came down the next day, we got hold of the reserve, and he said, "No, listen, we need to go and sort this thing out. Someone's going to get hurt with this thing," and he thinks, the curanderu from the village had put this curse on him, and this elephant had come. Anyway. Long story short, there was, up there in the north of Mozambique, there's some unbelievable beliefs, traditions, cultures.
For sure.
It's interesting, but...
For sure. I remember also, like, just a little bit off topic, but there were some people that used to fish in the river there.
Yeah.
But they used to dive in those ponds with crocodiles.
Yeah, and they used to grab the fish, put them in their mouth. So
whilst they're under the water. So they grab the fish underwater, stick it in their mouth to hold it.
So they got 2 hands free.
And then use the hands again to catch another one and diving. And there's crocodiles in there and everything.
But so you know what happens with that Lugenda? It's not a big river like the Zam, like the Zambezi or whatever. So you get these pools, and in these deep pools, that's where the hippo are going to congregate. That's where the crocodiles are going to congregate because the fish are in there. And with the fish, here come the people to fish there. So you are going to get a little bit of human-wildlife conflict there. And we've had multiple occasions where guys will rock up into camp and they've just been bitten to shreds by hippos and what, and you try and patch them up as best you can and send them off to hospital. But yeah, it's a wild place. It really is interesting though.
The Wild West. Obviously hunting is a dangerous game. We all know that. You played for a long time. You said you've been hunting for 20 years or more. Have there ever been any moments that have been quite scary? Have you had any?
Yeah, but I've had my fair share. But also you got to realize, my wife, one of my nicknames from my wife is Captain Caution, because she says I'm always being overly cautious about things. And I think that could be a good thing when it comes to this industry, especially when you're around guns and animals that
definitely
have got teeth and malice and can bite you and turn you into strawberry jam, and fix you. So, but I've had my fair share. But like I say, also I maybe too cautious, but I certainly try and stay out of those kind of run-ins. But I've had a couple of run-ins. The usual buffalo chargers. The two that I can sort of remember off the top of my head, down in the southwest Lowveld, a client wounded a leopard. It was March. It was really, really thick, one of those early season hunts.
Yeah, so
after a really good rainy season, the bush was thick and this thing had snivelled into the long grass, and we followed that for.
But how did the shot? Leopards. It's so interesting how it's so many.
But like I say, I wasn't the primary PH on that. I was just pulled in to help someone else, help a buddy.
Okay.
And
on the follow-up of the
wounded cat. Yeah, I was actually hunting elephant to the north, and then he gave us a shot and said, "Please, can you come help us with this wounded cat?" So you do the right thing. You go help a buddy. It's myself and one other PH.
You don't just turn off your radio quick.
Yeah, yeah. Depends if you like the guy or not. No.
No, but listen to this story.
Yeah.
So once I was hunting with a professional hunter, and someone came over the radio and said, "We've got a wounded lioness that's gone into the reeds." And he just reached over to his radio and turned it off.
I was tracking buffalo at the time.
That's his problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry on.
But anyway, we respond to this call. We get down there. And we started following that cat at like 7:30 in the morning. That's when we started. And eventually at 1 o'clock or 1:30, this cat jumped out the woodwork and jumped on one of the trackers in front of us.
No, but that's too vague. And I want to hear
the
details. But
so, it was in the southwest Lowveld. Like I said, it was incredibly thick and it was hot as well. I remember it being very hot. One of the PHs actually went down.
Yeah, what bush are you in now?
We're in that sort of scrub Mapani with that sort of riverine thicket as well. And it's March, but so after we had a good rainy season that year.
It
was 2012, 2013, I can't remember. So the bush was thick. And this cat wasn't going very far, but it was doing sort of circles on itself. And every now and then...
What gun were you carrying?
At that stage, I was carrying my 458. But this cat was doing circles, and there was like bits of Matumbu's guts, sort of. It was gut shot.
Oof.
So it was not a happy camper. And... anyway, we came up this riverine sort of gully.
And how are you walking now?
So there was 3 abreast. There was one PH on my left. I was in the middle, and there was another PH on my right. And just to put it out there, of those 3 PHs at the time, I was by far the most inexperienced of the lot. The 2 gentlemen either side of me had decades of experience,
but not so much good ears and eyes anymore.
Well,
that's
listen,
the catch.
but you know what happens when those cats come? They come from close, and no matter how ninja-like you think you are, leopard and lion, they're unbelievable when they come.
Yeah.
And anyway, these 2 very, very experienced PHs. We came up in this extended line, came up over this ridge, and we had 2 trackers in front of me. And as we got to the top, this cat came boiling out from the right, and that obviously the trackers tried to stream past us. And I remember the guy on the right, very, very experienced professional hunter, Pete Fick. On my right, and John Sharp was on my left.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Pete Fick double tapped it with a shotgun, and this cat got on top of John Sharp's tracker and started giving him a proper hiding.
So that shotgun didn't stop
No,
it?
no, it killed it. It did. I forget what Pete was using, like 3-inch 00 buck. I don't know, probably plated shot. I can't remember, but this cat landed on top of this tracker at my feet, literally at my feet. I could have bent down and patted the thing on the head, and the thing started beating him up at my feet. It swatted him across the face. There was a great big gash in his cheek, and when we eventually secured this cat, I remember.
No. So what happened? Come on.
So anyway, got on top of him and started giving me a hiding. Like I said, Pete double tapped it with a shotgun, finished it off.
So it got the tracker first before it got shot?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, but I promise you, it happened in the blink of an eye.
So it jumped out, grabbed the tracker.
Yeah. Pete double tapped it. But in that time that it got on top, it gave him a proper hiding. And when the cat died, it died with the sort of material of his shoulder and its mouth.
Biting on.
You're trying to bite him, And we couldn't get that cat off him. We had to like pry the claws off him, and then we couldn't open the jaws. We had to cut the shirt. We had to cut the material, and this cat's got a bit of shirt stuck in its mouth. The jaws were clamped shut. And it was a big cat. It was like 7'6", 175 pounds. It was a big cat. You know, the Southwest low-fowl cats are.
Yeah.
They're proper.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was the only one who had a first aid pack on my back. So anyway, I broke that
This is
out.
Captain Cautious.
Captain Cautious,
at the
but I
ready.
promise you.
Good man.
Anyway, so I started giving him first aid, and he had this cat had swatted him across the face. And he was shouting, "I'm dying, I'm dying." I mean, the guy was obviously in shock, as you would be when a leopard jumps on you.
Yeah.
Give the guy a bit of credit, And anyway, I was pouring water into his mouth to try and, clear the blood away. And it was just a stream of blood coming out his cheek, out of this big hole. And
So what was that? The thing of the dew claw that hit there or what?
But I know, just swatted him with his paw, eh? Just
Well,
give
how
him a
did-
proper
how
Mike
did-
Tyson slap.
How did it pop a piece of cheek out?
I did put a great big gash in his cheek. And
Okay.
Yeah, and he thought he had broken his jaw because his teeth were loose. And anyway, his wrist, his
Teeth were loose.
Yeah, and all his forearms were all scratched up, and he was. Luckily, it hadn't quite got to biting him yet. That was like the first bite, grabbing onto his shirt like that. But it had raked him pretty severely. And then, like I said, Pete double tapped this cat on top of him and killed him.
How did he shoot it without shooting the tracker?
I got no idea. But like I said, I was in the middle, and then there was noise, there was growling, there was gunshots, and then it was at my feet. And I remember distinct in the moment being, I mean, you're absolutely terrified in the moment. I mean, I think anyone would be.
100%.
I certainly was like, holy smokes, this was
100%.
scary.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there with my gun and thinking, I'm of absolutely no use in this situation. I couldn't have reacted quick enough to have been of any use in that situation. And you feel pretty helpless seeing this cat on top of this guy, and it's over in the blink of an eye. And luckily, like I said, Pete double tapped that, because if he hadn't, I think I probably would have been next on the menu. It died literally at my feet. And I remember looking down at this cat, and one of the everlasting sort of images in my head was like, my goodness, look at the fat rolls in the back of this cat's neck. That's how big it was. It was a big cat. So I'm thankful to both Pete and John for being the experienced cool heads in that situation.
For sure.
And killing that cat, because I tell you what, I would have been next, and I would have squealed like a pig. Anyway.
Yeah.
But so
that's a good story. What's the other one? I like these stories. Another one.
I mean, a lot of these stories are not very flattering, but that's fine. It's good to learn from, and I think they're funny as well.
Yeah,
if you walk away from them, no harm, no foul. I think you can have a giggle and you
yeah.
can learn from them.
You have to enjoy them whilst they weren't the one that got you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So I had a funny situation with a crocodile. Same thing about probably about 14, 15 years ago now. Up in the Nyasa, we shot this really big croc. Myself and the guy who I was working for at the time, Derek Littleton. We had a guy from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And he shot this croc, and the instruction from Derek was, right, listen, when he shoots this thing, run down there and jump on its back. We don't want it to snivel into the deep water. You know when you shoot a croc, when you brain them, often the tail trembles, and it's enough to propel them into the deep water.
But that's not a great idea to go and jump on the back.
No, of course it wasn't.
Derek,
But,
if
you
you're
do what
listening,
you're
pal.
told. If you do it, you do what you're told when your elders tell you. So anyway, we both roared down there, and we jumped on the back of this crocodile. He jumped on the front, just above the front legs, and I jumped just above the back legs. And his instructions were lift up the back legs so it can't snivel off into the deep water. We're in about sort of knee-deep water. So anyway, I did that, and as these things do, these crocodiles, if the shot isn't so great, this thing just kind of came back to life. and it started heading off into the Legenda with me on its back. Dirk jumped off because he obviously had more sense than I did. He knew the plan, and I was hanging on for dear life on the back of this big 13, 14-foot crocodile as it wanted to go into the thicket. And so into the deep water. And it was a little bit terrifying as I was riding this crocodile into the water. And we were shouting for the tracker, Balali, my guy, bring a rifle, bring a rifle. I remember looking up onto the riverbank and seeing him there, and he was just sort of casually standing there looking at us, sort of just taking it all in, very laid back. And we were shouting and screaming, bring a gun, bring a gun. And eventually,
Balali was definitely
enjoying he was enjoying it, spectating it. And eventually he realized that, actually, someone's about to end up in the drink here. So he grabbed the 458 and he ran down there. And Derek bloody shot it at point blank. But I was almost taken into the river there, and I was like, don't be jumping on the back of crocodiles again. Rather grab a tail or stay away from the bitey end, and if it goes, it goes, Yeah. But cheapers. We've all had really interesting, funny stories like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's also part of the reason we do this stuff is because there's always adventure to be had, and it's often high adventure. So, what would you say is the most scary animal to follow wounded? Because everybody has a different one, right?
Let me tell you, it's the one that you're following at that moment. I know it's probably that sort of generic reply from everyone, but it's so true, hey?
It is true.
It is, be it a wounded lion, elephant, leopard, buffalo. I think because we do so many buffalo, it's like sort of your bread and butter in the hunting, certainly in the dangerous game hunting industry. I think you will probably end up dealing with a lot more wounded buffalo in your career than, say, elephants or lions or leopards. But any wounded animal that you happen to be following, wounded dangerous game animal that you happen to be following, it commands your attention, hey? And it will make you pucker up.
No, for sure. In a big way. And in my experience, it's always been that one that he's tired of running away now, and he knows now these people are not stopping following me. Yeah. Now I need to kill these people.
Yeah. And now he's going to make a stand.
Yeah, and the buffalo is that cheeky son of a gun.
Yeah, he is. And last year last year was a bad year for professional hunters, 2024. We had quite a few people who were injured by buffalo.
There was a gentleman in Zambia who was...
was Zimbabwean professional hunter.
He was killed by a buffalo.
There. Yeah.
He was gored. Yeah, shame. And then there was a Gareth Lecluse who got bit by the leopard.
By the leopard, yeah.
Johan again got second time
on the same day. 8 years later?
8 years later on the same day, Johan Verzadenhout.
Then old Guy Whittle also got
bitten by a leopard.
He got kitty rash. Yeah. And then we had a guy up in Ayaso who got gored in the leg by buffalo. So a couple other buffalo incidences last year that.
Sometimes when you're following that wounded animal, you can question your choice of profession.
Absolutely, you wonder why am I doing this? What was I thinking?
Can't I be
an accountant or something? Yeah. Why am I doing this? And then when everything sort of gets resolved safely, you're like, big sort of sigh of relief. But you just spare a thought for that poor track who's in front of you with nothing, and he's the guy in front of you or to your side, and he's following that animal, and he's relying entirely on you. So big up to those guys for trusting you. That's why trust is such an important deal in this game. Hey, it really has to be.
For sure. Also, we all hunt for the adventure and the thrill and all these things that we talk about. But the reality of it is that hunting looks after more wildlife areas than any national parks, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know what the figures are. I'd be lying if I told you, but hunting is responsible for, looking after and conserving huge swaths of habitat. And that's the most important thing. A lot of guys get bent out of shape about single species preservation. Save the elephants and save this and save that, whatever. But what we should be focusing on is saving habitat. Giving these animals, ample space to roam, breed, and live. Because if you take care of the habitat, I promise you the animals will take care of themselves. Yeah. So putting aside huge tracts of land, that's what we should be focusing on, is looking after the land. Because if you take care of the land, the vegetation will take care of itself, and then the animals will take care of themselves. As long as you give them that space. Habitat conservation, I think, is more important than single species preservation to a degree. Obviously, some species obviously need a helping hand. Obviously, certain things that are in dire straits. But looking after huge swaths of land and professional hunting in general, hunting done right, does that. And there's very good examples just in this country of, professional hunters and outfitters, taking care of huge tracts of land. And, with that comes all the, the associated protection for your plant species, your bird species, your insect species, your, you name it, fish and whatnot, soils, looking after soils as well, looking after trees. I know people are like, well, I look after a tree, but, if you look after trees, you might be looking after, huge habitats for things you might not think about, bush babies, birds, you name it. So habitat conservation, I think, is more important than most people realize. And hunters certainly do their fair share of that.
Talking about conservation, I see the Duckworth family just got that conservation prize.
Yeah.
Of Macquarie Safaris.
I think it's the Ox of the Okavango. I think that's the name of
the award.
Yeah, they're doing good things. I mean, they're a long-time hunting family in Zimbabwe. Gary and Neil are flying the flag, very high for Zimbabwean hunters. They look after Macquarie Ranch down the Lowveld. And then they've got a very, very nice operation in sort of central Mozambique. I think it's C9 or
Qatar 9.
9. And I've heard the Plains game there is unbelievable.
Yeah. And they took it, they started
like
it
20 years ago?
Yeah, and there was nothing. Well, very little.
Yeah.
Lots of people poaching, and the game numbers were down.
I know, credit where credit's due. They've done an unbelievable job there. But also, in the Lowveld as well, they've looked after and they're both very accomplished and very good professional hunters in their own right as well.
One thing I found interesting about those Duckworth family is a long time ago they did a lion relocation from South Africa to Mozambique to reintroduce lions into that area.
Yeah.
Now their area has got, like, the lion hunting there is the same as it is in the Zambezi Valley.
Really, eh?
It is incredible.
Really, hey?
But you hear nothing about it, right? There also this the Cabela's Foundation that's doing a good job.
They did that, but they were responsible for putting those 24 lions into the Delta.
I think they started with 12 and now there's 24.
Well, no, they started, I think it was called 24 lions. It started with 24. Now it's over 100 and something.
Yes. But they've
marketed... That's the thing about a lion, but you give him space, you give him food, he will breed, eh?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just interesting to see how, that was shown everywhere in the world, the 24 Lions project.
But this one wasn't.
And the Duckworth did it way before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It just shows you that there's people out there.
There's a lot of guys. There's quite a few guys out there, fighting the good fight and taking care of habitat
100%.
and reintroducing game populations and looking after their little slice of Africa.
That Qatar 11 is also another one. There's a lot.
But I know of those Qataras. I'm not familiar with them. I've never been down hunting into those, but I've heard that some of those Qataras are insanely good.
I know. You won't believe the amount of game. It's very...
Have you done the Delta, like the actual hunting the buffalo in those swamps?
Yeah. And I mean, you won't believe this herds of sable.
Yeah. You just look at the buffalo numbers. They're sitting at something crazy like, again, don't quote me on the exact figures, but you'll get the trend anyway. Something like 33,000 buffalo in that Delta. From a few thousand, they've rocketed up to 30-odd thousand, and they're doing very well indeed. And not just like you say, the sable, the waterbuck, this, that, and the next thing. But there's also there's some very dedicated conservationists and hunters who have put a lot of time and effort and sweat into making it as good as it is. So kudos to them for doing that.
Two of the biggest names in shooting and hunter-funded conservation have joined forces. The NRA and Dallas Safari Club are offering membership specials for their two powerhouse organizations. Sign up for membership today and get free tickets to the Dallas Safari Club conventions. Go to biggame.org for more information. Back to the podcast. Tell me, is there any specific animal that you like to hunt the best?
Oh, bud. Hey, now you're asking difficult questions. Yeah. But I tell you what, leopard buffalo sable is one of my favorite combination hunts because you're hunting a cat, you're hunting a duggar boy, and you're hunting what, just a personal opinion, what I consider like the Rolls Royce of plains game is that sable. You know, he is a regal animal. He is dignity personified. He's just an awesome animal. And we get a lot of sable up in northern Mozambique, so we get to hunt a lot of them. So that combination, you know, a leopard, buffalo, sable, I really do enjoy it. But then again, you know, a good lion hunt as well. Gosh, that'll test your courage in certain aspects. So that's also a lot of fun as well. And then, but let me tell you, this might sound a bit weird, but there's a lot of fun to be had going with like a first timer for their first African animal, like an impala.
No.
And you're seeing the joy that they derive from that, and you're like, wow, okay, now we're doing something special for someone. It might not be a great big dugger boy or a great big, you know, big elephant, but it's their first African animal, and it's what they've dreamt about, and they're finally doing it, and they, you know, everyone's it's just another impala. No, man, there can be special things happen. You know, special things can happen hunting.
Quite right. And then often I get a message from people say, I'd like to hunt Africa. What should I do? And I'm like, okay, well,
let's narrow it down. You know?
Yeah, like,
what do you want to hunt first?
Yeah,
what country do you want to go for?
There's a lot of stuff to do.
What species are you wanting to hunt? What time frame? You know, it's
shame. But a lot of people
how long's a piece of string? You know,
they don't even know where to start. So it's quite nice to be able to help people out.
It is nice, but like you said, it's a huge task to try and narrow it down. You know, they need to narrow it down for you so you can sort of give them a bit more guidance.
See, something that I've learned is because I don't have like my own area. When I first started offering to help people with the safaris, I would give them options, like 7 options.
Cool. Yeah.
It's not cool.
Why not?
I thought it was cool. It's not cool because it just confuses them.
Oh, you think so? Sensory overload, like,
they
what do I do? What do I do?
They don't know what you are talking about. So it's better to say, okay, this is what I recommend you do.
So what do you do? Do you start guys on like a basic plains game deal to cut their teeth?
Well,
or do you just throw them in the deep end with a dugger boy to start with?
No. I try and gauge where I think they're at.
Yeah.
Also, budget is a big.
It's a big one, bud.
Yeah, because a plains game hunt in South Africa is going to be a lot cheaper than a plains game hunt.
Far more budget friendly than
say
a plains
in Mozambique
or
in
Tanzania,
and you got a $6,000 charter flight and this and that.
It makes your eyes water.
Yeah. So a lot of it depends on budget, but when you can see if someone's done a lot of hunting, but even if they've done a lot of hunting, the way we hunt is so different to the way people hunt in America.
Yeah.
That and also there's the fear factor. So
like the fear of the unknown,
of
fear
the animals.
Africa,
I've seen guys like where I've booked them in their first hunt on a buffalo. Their guys' hands are so tight on that weapon because he thinks this buffalo is going to come boiling out at any moment.
Yeah, because
he's heard stories.
That
This is Africa podcast.
Yeah, he's heard stories that this thing looks at you like you owe money and that he possesses
and he knows
like
he owes
a
someone
demonic
money.
spirit and tenacity and will to live, and you're like, how am I going to stop this with just my little 375?
Yeah, it's quite funny.
No, but at the same time, what he's doing there, he's also making memories, and he's living the deal. Hey, that's what he signed up for. He might be terrified at the time, but this is what he signed up for, and that's why you as a professional hunter are there, and
100%.
You as a booking agent are there. Say, well, listen, go with this professional hunter, go with that outfitter, go with this country. Don't do this.
There is where I'm lucky, is because I get to pick and choose who the PHs are going to be. And that's important.
Yeah,
because you don't want to be sending a first-time buffalo hunter with a PH that's not calm and relaxed and knows what he's doing.
Absolutely, hey. And it sort of gives off that sort of air of calm professionalism and. We've got this. It's all good. Don't worry.
You touched on lion hunts there and the excitement of a lion hunt. Have you ever had a blind situation?
Yes.
In a blind, I've noticed over the years it's a very easy place for things to get very exciting very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting for cats normally.
Yes.
So tell us the story.
But I had an issue in the southwest Lowveld of Zim where we're sitting for a leopard of all things. And nice big cat was coming into the bait. Fantastic, right? Got the pop-up blind. We're sitting at like 60 yards. Everything was camouflaged perfectly. We were going to kill this cat. Everything was going to go well. Famous last words. And we were in this pop-up blind, and I had the client off to my left, had the cameraman in the middle, and I was on the right. And it was 4:00. We just got into the blind. We were, it's like you sort of fidgeting and you're getting yourself,
getting comfortable.
Getting comfortable, make sure
the
the chair
sit.
doesn't squeak, getting ready for the long sit. And my water bottle's there, okay, my rifle's there, my torches here, where's the radio? You're just getting yourself, oriented and situated.
For the dark.
And I remember sitting there, and then I became aware of, when someone's staring at you, you kind of get a sort of vibe. So I was like, I looked over to my left, and both the client and the cameraman were staring at me with these big wide eyes and like staring at me like I'd done something wrong or trying to get my attention, and I wasn't quite computing what the problem was. And yeah, I'm a bit slow. And then just behind the client, the zip of the pop-up blind, let's do a little bit of like a sliver of light. And the sliver of light was sort of going black and then white and then black and then white. There was something outside on the other side of the zip. And as I was watching this and sort of, computing what this was, you could now hear this sort of heavy breathing. Woo, woo. And then the whole sort of thing bulged forward. And this male lion had obviously seen us get into the blind and come over to investigate, as they do. And he was pushing his nose, and he was trying to push his nose through the zip of the pop-up blind. And this whole thing was just bulging and you can just hear like this big heavy animal outside breathing and like grunting and mumbling, and there was two of them. And then the other one came around the side here, and in those pop-up blinds, you've got a pretty good field of view. You can see out. You've got that mesh, so you can see out, but you can't see in, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And this great big bloody male lion walked in front of us here, and this one was still trying to come in the back here, and they were doing sort of laps around this blind. And the client was like a 20 or 19-year-old guy, and he pulls out a sheath knife, and he's like, "Can I stab it in the nose?" And I was like, "What? No, but please don't." But he was getting ready to Rambo this thing. No. And I was like, "No, please, but don't." So anyway, I picked up the radio, called the trackers, and they took about half an hour to, and when I questioned them, I was like, "Why didn't you guys come?" And they were like, "Well, we thought you were just testing the radio." And meanwhile, I was like, "My word, bud."
Because why? Do you have a...
I was blowing. I got a signal. So when I blow into the radio, because I don't talk, I just blow. And that,
That means come.
That means come. So if I was to blow into your mic, you hear like a noise, like distortion. I don't know what you'd call it. Some technical
wind noise.
Wind noise. So when they hear that in the radio, they know come, because you can't talk. We don't want to talk in those situations. Not when there's a lion sitting right outside the blind, trying to get in. And so blew in that, and eventually after like half an hour, these guys came, and as they got to the blind, they obviously saw that we were in dire straits, so they just started throwing stones at these lions, and these lions off their tooled. And then everything calmed down. Nice, okay, I think they've run away. We're good. Let's carry on with this set. Maybe we can salvage. This was like 4:30 now, still early in the afternoon. Maybe we can salvage this.
So then now you're
now we've chased these lions
and
away.
The vehicle goes away.
The vehicle goes away, and then we sit until like 11. And this cat hasn't come in. This leopard is too smart for me. He knows the plan. He's either checked out the lions or he's seen the kerfuffle under the blind. He's like, I wasn't born yesterday. Nice try. And then like at 11 o'clock, these things started calling behind the blind, like 500 meters away. And then they're getting closer, then closer, and then closer. This is 11 at night. And eventually I said, they're coming straight back to the blind, straight back to the bait. Let's just cut our losses here. And they came straight back to the blind. But we called the guys and we got out there. But that lion wanted to get in the blind.
Oh wow!
We've had some.
Elephants also can be a problem in the blind.
They can, but I haven't had any issues with an elephant. But I've had a lot of issues with lions trying to get into blinds. Same thing hunting in the Southwest Lowveld, sitting late, and I had an earphone, and I was just sort of dawdling and kind of switched off, which probably wasn't very clever. And became aware of something breathing next to me. And my head was right next to the canvas, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And kind of, bring yourself towards yourself. And then I realized there was a lion sniffing my head through the canvas side of the blind.
Oh wow!
So when you kind of realize and your brain computes what that was, you kind of recoil in horror, and your heart does about 1,000 flick flacks, and
yeah.
And the lion walked in front of the blind, a sod of a lion, and then came and sat in the shooting lane, and we managed to shoot him. But I tell you what, my heart took flack on that particular one, and you realize that the lion's sniffing your head, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's a very what's the word?
You feel small, bud. You feel small. And helpless.
it's like in your nature or in your ancestry that to be sound of a predator's breathing.
Yeah.
You know it's not a friendly something.
You know, you almost feel like, I might be out of my depth here. What am I doing? Oh.
Where's my
And
gun?
you're actually going to realize I'm the professional. I'm supposed to be holding it all together here. And you're like, wow. But I'm sure a lot of, I'm sure every professional hunter in Zim has had countless run-ins with, dangerous beasties. But
yeah, I remember once there was a leopard on the bait tree, and so the rheostat went on, but now the PH was explaining to the client, this is where you should shoot him, and this is the good one, whatever. But wait, take your time and breathe and relax first, and don't rush it.
Yeah.
And I like PHs that do that.
Yeah,
I hate that shoot. Shoot.
The light comes on, shoot.
Yeah.
No.
That's when you wound things, I think. But anyway,
Shoot the wrong one.
So anyway, the guy relaxed, and then eventually the PH was like, okay, when you're ready. And I think the leopard heard that, when you're ready. And it was a brute. This thing was like 10, 11 years old, an old leopard, big thing. And then it looked towards the blind, and then jumped off the tree, and then we switched off the rheostat. So now we're sitting there quiet now in the dark like this. And you can't see anything. It's just black.
Yeah.
I mean, if I do this with my hand, I can't see
a thing.
I can't see anything. And all of a sudden I start feeling, and I hear on my left, I'm hearing,
and he's coming in. You've been bounced.
And I'm like, fuck, are my neighbors hearing this? Because now I'm hearing something, and it sounded like it's stalking me. But now, because it's so dark, you forget that canvas is there. You know?
and it plays havoc with your fears and your.
It does. It does that pure darkness, and I felt.
Is he going to jump through the blind? Is
he
going to do
feel
this?
So alone, And now, I'm trying to think and I remember it was one of these blinds where you have. Like that mesh you talk about with little holes, I think it's called a rhino blind or something. It's got these little holes.
These
but
are the new ones.
The whole thing.
So you can see out, but you can't see in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
So it's thin, hey? Let me tell you, that thing is paper thin.
Yeah.
And so now I'm thinking, how thin is this? And this leopard, I'm a leopard close. I'm sure he's seeing through those little holes and seeing this breathing.
Always smelling you. I mean, if he's that close.
Seeing this little cameraman breathing here.
Trembling. Probably you can see the shapes.
But it came so close. And I promise you, it sounded like it was in my ear. Like it sounded like I could almost feel the whiskers on my cheek, And I honestly, I just went like this.
Yeah.
I put my things. I feel like I was like,
I tell you what, and at night, your fears are magnified tenfold. At night, During the sort of cold light of the day, you're like, why was I so bloody timid and nervous, And then when that sun sets, and you're like, oof. Then your primeval, well, I don't know what the wording is, but your fears come to you like, wow, this is.
It's very true.
Scary.
Being in a blind, and it's what an adventure, especially for we do it all the time. But for someone who's come out, can you imagine them sitting in that first blind, hearing all those sounds?
It's overload, sensory overload, and so it's a spirit thought for those guys. They probably sit there and think, "Jeepers, I'm in over my head. What have I gotten myself into?" Or maybe they sit there and think, it's all right. PH has got it. I'm happy. I'm good.
Yeah.
He's here. What could possibly go wrong if he's here? Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
he's quivering
as well. No, but it's exciting. This is why we do it, and this is the experience that we try and sort of impart to our guests as well, safely. Just qualify that, but we try and impart that sort of this, gosh, how exciting, moment.
Yeah.
Trying to impart to our guests in a safe kind of manner. But anyway.
So, Dave, what does the future hold for David Langerman?
But I'm just a sort of low key kind of operation, just plodding on doing my thing in the Nyasa and in the south of Zim. Just carry on hunting, carry on doing it right. I hope not make any waves, do the right thing at the right time, and like I said, just quietly carry on with my little operation. Very happy with what I'm doing. I'm very happy, very privileged to be hunting in the areas that I'm hunting. They really are good areas. We've spoken about them at length off air. They're really good. Well, you've been to them before. I mean, you the Nyasa, you know it very well, and you know where I hunt down in the southwest of Zim.
Yeah.
So
also a very quality area.
Yeah, a very good quality area as well.
Very quality.
The buffalo down there particularly are very, very good.
Tell me, Dave, if people want to hunt with you, how do they get hold of you?
But just type my name in the internet, you'll find me. DaveLangermanSafaris.com.
DaveLangermanSafaris.com. Yeah. And have you got an Instagram or anything?
But I'm pretty useless with social media. I haven't really embraced the social media, probably to my detriment. I haven't embraced the whole social media movement. Obviously, I like looking on YouTube and looking at videos, things like that. I'm one of your followers, by the way. I always like watching your videos. Yeah. I just saw a Redemption Reptile the other day.
Yeah. Did you watch the episode?
I did watch that. It
was pretty good, eh?
That was cool, eh? I see you got some good subscribers now. What, you like the 70,000 mark, 75,000 now?
Yeah, 76, I think.
76.
Right? Yeah, 76,000.
That's good, bud. Well done.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the podcast. You have to let us know, folks. Do you like the podcast? You don't like the podcast? What can we do differently?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me, bud. I really, really appreciate it. It's always nice to come and have a chinwag with you.
Yeah,
have a catch up.
I know if I was a client, I would definitely be hunting with you.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate that endorsement. And I know we're talking about doing some things in the future, so that'll be exciting if we can pull that off.
100%.
If we can get those people to come hunting, so that'll be humour, bud.
Life is long. Folks, don't forget you can find all our sponsors' links to their websites and all the products in the description below. I look forward to seeing you all right here in the This is Africa studio next week with another customer. See you next week, folks. Ciao. Now, folks, don't tell me these stories haven't got you dreaming of your own African adventure. If you want to book your safari, get in touch with me at www.tiafive.com. That's tiafive.com. And I'll see you next in Africa.